I'm Luke Kerfuffle, and in Chapter 4 of Deltarune, the Dark Fountain does something we've never seen it do before. It calls to us, its call sounding like the ringing of a bell. In the room directly next to where this happens, there is a hidden panel of the prophecy which states they'll hear the ring of heaven's call. Heaven is a dark world. In Ralsei's version of the prophecy at the beginning of Chapter 1, he reveals the heroes and says only they can seal the fountains and banish the angels' heaven. It's the only time we hear that specific phrase, but not the only time we see the word banish related to the angel. In yet another hidden panel of the prophecy, we read, "The angel banished will finally meet with its desire." It's the only prophecy panel with no related picture, at least not one we can see. On the screen where it appears, Chris, Susie, and Ralsei are standing behind columns, leaving the screen below the text almost entirely black. Susie is taken aback by what she sees, saying, "Hey, below the words, that picture, what the hell is that supposed to be?" Ralsei responds, "That's the angel, Susie. What to my understanding it actually looks like." Susie pauses. "I don't know about that, man." If you make Chris inspect it again, the narration reads, "It's a prophecy. Looking at it made you feel strange. You did not investigate further." The implication here, at least to me, has always been that the angel is you, the player. That in the darkness of the lower screen, we're meant to see a reflection of ourselves. But then what are the characters seeing? Ralsei's clarification of this being what the angel looks like to his understanding implies that it's not a perfect recreation of us, that even he doesn't know exactly what we look like. We learned from Caddy's reading earlier that the prophecy doesn't have pictures, so this image was created by someone or something which shares Ralsei's concept of the angel's appearance. In my last video, I said these images must be conjured up by whoever created this dark world. However, multiple panels which don't appear in the dark sanctuary appear in the second sanctuary created by Susie, who had no concept of the full prophecy at that point. This could be explained by the darkness seeping through the locked door to the second fountain, but I now realize that these pictures may be far more intrinsic than I initially thought. I think these pictures are conjured up by the darkness itself. Notice the texture within each prophecy panel. It's the depths. The same texture used in the intro sequence and inside every dark fountain. We know this texture is symbolic of deep darkness, and its presence in the prophecy panels is very telling. But not only that, these panels are also made of glass, the same substance as the shadow crystals. The prophecy panels are even described with that same terminology by this save point. All around you, blue glass glitters like crystals. All this suggests that these panels are a direct creation of darkness, perhaps even deriving from the same source as the shadow crystals, compounded by the fact that when you hold one up before a panel, the narration reads, "You held the crystal up to your eye. For some strange reason, the prophecy's text does not warp in the crystal's lens. You shook the crystal. However, nothing changed." The fact that the shadow crystal, notorious for warping the present reality when Chris looks through it, is unable to change the text of the prophecy further supports the idea that both originate from the same place as Ralsei. Hence why Ralsei has the exact same knowledge on the appearance of the angel. My last theory proposed that Ralsei is a being of pure darkness, a creation of the Grand Fountain designed to fulfill the prophecy by any means necessary, and I believe these connections only serve to bolster that claim. Speaking of the Grand Fountain, we have yet to see it directly, only attaining glimpses of it from behind the castle in Castletown, a castle which contains this locked door. On the door is carved a human soul, and sprouting from the frame are 6 wings, 3 on each side. This door, placed dead center in the castle's layout, could quite likely lead out to the Grand Fountain itself, and I believe it does, because I believe the Grand Fountain is ours. In Castletown, there is a lone Rudin who refers to it by a different name, Our Town. The player's name, the one they entered as their very own at the beginning of the game, appears here, and the Rudin claims that's what they've heard this place called. A place which is a dream, one which grows with love and care, a dream belonging to us. Don't be afraid to dream, they say, but I can't help but feel that perhaps we should be afraid. because in the shadows of our dreams lies something horrific. When the Titan first appears, it takes on the shape of a human head. Only after this does it take on its still intimidating but much more fitting appearance for the world of Deltarune. The only thing Ralsei tells us about the Titan is that it is fear of the dark incarnate, the bump in the night, an entity whose only purpose is to destroy, lacking any conscience. If it's the embodiment of fear, why does it look like us? Recalling our hero's reactions upon seeing the angel's prophecy panel, they are visibly shaken, clearly disturbed. I believe the Titan is preying on this recent fear and taking on a form similar to what they saw, because in its transformation, it becomes covered with angel wings. When this happens, the human head is replaced by a sunken face and a shield which takes on the familiar appearance of a four-pointed star, the shape of a save point, the shape of our connection to Deltarune. When the night creates the fountain that summons the Titan, it looks nothing like any dark fountain we've seen. Those begin with a blinding light which inverts to pure shadow. Meanwhile, the Titan's fountain maintains a brilliant blue light all the way through until it solidifies into the tower which hatches the Titan, a tower made of the depths. It's interesting to me that the closer we get to the deepest variety of darkness, the lighter things get. Let's cast our minds back to the intro, to the moment we're introduced to the world of Deltarune. We become connected and are instantly thrust into the depths, in which we are introduced to a character creator. The depths are related to code, to the very structure of this world itself. There's a reason that nearly all game mechanics only exist in the dark world, to the point that Toby Fox didn't even want save points in the light world. That's the irony of our presence in that world. Alvin says to Chris, "May the angel watch over you," but the angel was never above. We were always below. The Titan's appearance is human at first, in its purest state of darkness. Then it shifts into the shape reminiscent of a save point as it adjusts to the light. Surrounding it are Titan spawn, creatures which appear in places of extreme darkness, which are literal embryos, shapes evocative of a human fetus, the spawn of humans. We are connected to this world through the darkness. We exist not in the brightest of light, but in the deepest shadow. And our heaven, like us, is not above. It's with us in the dark. When we first see Castletown, it has the structure of a classic RPG town, complete with an inn, a weapon shop, and an item shop, further strengthening the connection between dark worlds and game mechanics. These shops switch from their generic appearance when you literally carry over the experience you had from Chapter 1 in Chapter 2. They become customized, unique to our experience with Deltarune. In later chapters, when you talk to the Ruden who calls it your town, they rate the love of the place in 3 categories: strong, plain, and cracked. If it's strong, you're on a pacifist playthrough, and they say, "Beauty grows in your heart. Let's see to a merciful life." If it's plain, you start at a clear save from Chapter 4, and they say, "This is a familiar place, yet you look like you only just got here. From here, let your love grow, alright?" And if it's cracked, they say, "Perhaps you don't treasure this place so much, but it treasures you, whatever you do." Cracked like an egg, gifts from the forgotten man, embodiments of a player's love for this world, a love so deep they perform the most esoteric actions possible to see everything it has to offer. You treat me like an egg that you should break me, to reveal some hidden beauty in gold and softened ivory. Nay, for love is made of eggshells, and should your love be true, you would already know what lies inside. This text only appears if you fight the holy water cooler in Chapter 4. The love of your town is only cracked when you treat encounters with violence. In your attempt to see everything, you've broken the game wide open, and in doing so, caused your relationship with the game to suffer. You've tainted your heaven. In a violent playthrough, Castletown is a ghost town. It's haunting to see. Buildings are closed, you have but a handful of inhabitants, and being there, to put it simply, feels wrong. It makes you come to a stark realization about your relationship with the world of Deltarune, about the capacity you have for destruction. That to have the amount of power you do is inherently wrong, however you choose to wield it. Our banishment, while sad, is necessary. But with our departure, Castletown will revert to its original form, for we take our love with us. That's the banishment of the angels' heaven. But notice how in the prophecy, our banishment comes before the final prophecy. That's because our banishment isn't the end. The bell's ringing now. Seems we've reached the final rounds. So, how do you think it all ends? No. How do you want it to end? An ending, huh? If I could choose, I guess, I wouldn't have an ending. It's just better if stuff just goes on forever, right? Well, ain't that something? At this late hour, with the bells ringing out their justice, you choose eternity. Miss, hold on dearly to that thought. The angel banished will finally meet with its desire. What is our desire? It's the same as Susie's, for Deltarune to never end. Our love for Deltarune, for this world, will live on in our hearts well after we have to say goodbye. In fact, to say goodbye is the greatest proclamation of our love that we can give to these characters, to allow them to grow without us. That's the eternity, the theories that this community proposes, the stories that we weave and tell each other. None of that has to end and will continue for generations to come as new people discover Deltarune, as new people have to say goodbye. The crux of this theory here at the end is that I believe we won't be allowed to see Deltarune's true ending. Deltarune is based on a dream. Castletown is a dream, and all too often we're ejected from our dreams before getting to see them through. In our role as the angel, by the hero's act of banishment, we won't get to see their lives continue and the adventures they'll have without us. But we will get to tell our own stories and have other dreams, so for neither us or those we have to say goodbye to will the story ever truly end. It'll just be separate, parallel, like Deltarune and Undertale, never crossing but ever changed by the existence of the other. And that, I think, is beautiful. But some people won't accept that ending, will they? In my next video, we'll be exploring even more of this theory as we look at the Weird Route's place within it, because I believe the Weird Route is the player forcing an ending. How? Stay tuned to find out. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss it, and as always, thanks for watching.